All right, it's Saturday, January 11th, 2025, and in a remarkable interview dropping late yesterday, LA Fire Department Chief Kristen Crowley, the same woman we showcased 2 days ago bragging about her DEI reshaping of LAFD, has now turned on Gavin Newsom and the LA mayor, turning on them, saying they failed all of us. Also, the latest on Mark Zuckerberg. I'm sure you heard what he said on Joe Rogan yesterday. Well, the Biden administration is not happy with Meta. Biden held a press conference blasting Zuckerberg yesterday evening. A big mistake by the Biden team. Wait till you hear this, all but admitting to his accusations. And another win for Donald Trump and Team America. The Prime Minister of Greenland coming out yesterday, saying he's ready to meet with Donald Trump and negotiate. Booah. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So, LA Fire Chief Kristen Crowley has turned on her bosses, turning on Mayor Karen Bass and Governor Newsom, calling them out by name for having no water in the reservoir. And get this, giving her department's equipment away, donating more than half of their firefighting equipment to Ukraine. According to some reports, LA's local government right now is in crisis. Their leadership is in survival mode. It makes what's happening in Canada to Trudeau look like child's play. We have the full interview. This broke late yesterday. LA Fire Department Chief Kristen Crowley coming out and blowing the whistle on Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass, saying it's their fault, blaming Karen Bass directly. And again, same fire chief who we showcased just 2 days ago. Bottom line, she's on their team, folks. Well, she's now turning on them, turning on her bosses. These people are eating themselves alive. Period.
Did the city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city? It's my job. Did they fail you? Yes. Chief Kristen Crowley.
We're going to play the full clip in a minute. The LA Fire Department now resorting to handbags, using handbags to put out fires. Because, get this, they donated their hoses and buckets to Ukraine. You can't make this up. Never replace them. It turns out the new fire chief complained about it a few months ago, about not having enough equipment after their massive Ukraine donation. Reports say close to half of their firefighting supplies have been donated. They donate their equipment, and then the LA mayor cuts the fire department budget by $17 million. They don't have buckets, they don't have hoses, they don't have nozzles, they don't have fire, and enough of it. They're now using bags and women's purses to carry the water. It sounds crazy. Gavin Newsom called for an independent investigation about this yesterday into the fire hydrants going dry and the unavailability of water supplies from the reservoir, writing on X, "We need answers to ensure this does not happen again." You think? It should never have happened in the first place. Elon Musk writing, "New government is needed for California." Yes, we've been calling for that for years on this channel. The fire chief saying the last straw was when her firefighters learned the reservoir was empty. Empty, bone dry. Has been empty and non-operational for months, she says. Saying that was the final straw. Roll the tape. This is the full interview. Watch this.
Period. Did the city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city? It's my job to stand up as a chief and exactly say justifiably what the fire department needs to operate to meet the demands of the community. Did they fail you? That is our job, and I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs. Did they fail you? Yes. Chief Kristen Crowley, I believe the anchors wanted to ask a question back there. Had some comments.
We do, Gigi. If you could please ask her regarding the Times article that came out that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was closed to repairs and it was empty. 117 million gallons of water could have been used in this fight.
The question is about the Santa Ynez Reservoir being empty. There's been a lot of questions about that. Sure. So my stance on this is when a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't control the water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped. That's my position on this. So if there's no water, I don't know how the water gets to the hydrants. Please defer that to DWP or whomever controls that part. But I can tell you the resiliency of our firefighters, if there's no water, they're going to go find water. They're going to figure out a way to do the best they can with what they've got in a very dynamic situation.
And I know you expressed concerns that those DWP hydrants would not be inspected thoroughly because of the budget cuts.
That is something to discuss, and we're going to look into that in regard to how we can ensure there's going to be water when we need it. But in the end, I'm going to defer that to DWP and whomever else controls the supply. I can guarantee you that when our firefighters showed up on that day with what they had, they did absolutely everything they could do to rescue and to save people's lives and property. And that's the bottom line. Now let's get them what they need to do their jobs.
Let's get them water, Chief, because I was with your firefighters and they literally were watching a house burn down with pain in their eyes, not being able to do anything except pull water from a swimming pool to try to save a nearby structure that wasn't burning, and literally watching a house burn to the ground because they had no water.
That's exactly right. But did they continue to work, and did they continue to do what they had to do the best they could with what they had? Yes.
Chief, follow-up. Thank you very much for talking to us. We appreciate it. I believe we have a follow-up question from the studio.
Question on that reservoir issue. Is the fire department aware of when these resources are depleted, just like that reservoir had no water? Was she aware of that fact, that it was under construction and there was no water there?
Sandra Endo, one of our anchors, wants to know if the department is advised that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was going to be emptied. Were you aware that there was no water there?
No, we weren't aware of that.
They don't have to advise you?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So you had no idea that there wasn't such needed resource?
No, we weren't.
All right. Chief Kristen Crowley, again, Chief of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. Thank you for talking to us. I know it's been a very exhaustive, emotional, and I imagine you're mad, and I imagine you're sad. You may not want to talk about that anger or that disappointment, but I can see it in your eyes. Thank you. Thank you for talking to us.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll send it back to you.
Well,
And residents are furious, screaming at Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass in public. Multiple clips showing residents reaming them out. Gavin being chased down by a mother asking for help, all caught by Sky News. This mother chases Gavin Newsom down, pleading for help. Watch.
Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I
Hey,
don't
Tessa,
believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
Why
call.
is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So
There's
let's
no
get
cell
it.
service.
Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids, losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost
I know.
their homes. They lost
I know.
2 homes because they were
I know.
living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild. We're getting
Why
the
was there
resources
no
to deal with
water
the
in the
issue.
hydrants,
That's
Governor?
all that's all literally.
Is it going to be
being
different next time?
It has to be. Has to
Right.
be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To
everything
fill the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally, you know that.
I literally have.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I would. I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not! I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, including making sure people
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do.
guys.
Can I
He needs
can
to
I
call
have an
the president.
opportunity
He
to at
needs
least
to-
tell
he needs to
people
call
you're
the
doing what
president.
you're saying you're doing?
Thank you.
Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact
yes.
information?
Right
Right
there.
now.
Thank you.
And that call Gavin pretends to take with Joe Biden? Well, he did end up getting that call after all with the president. And what he decided to spend his time talking about will really grind your gears, folks. They spent their time discussing ways to use federal power, federal influence, to pressure social media companies to remove negative stories about them. Yes, that actually happened yesterday, all on a publicly transmitted conference call. Their solution to angry residents? Stop them from seeing misinformation. Watch.
I ask you, we've got to deal with this misinformation. There were hurricane force winds of mis and disinformation, lies. People want to divide this country, and we're going to have to address that as well. And it breaks my heart as people are suffering and struggling that we're up against those hurricane forces as well. And that's just a point of personal privilege that I share that with you because it infects real people that are out there, people I meet every single day, people the mayor's been meeting with, and they're having conversations that are not the typical conversations you'd have at this time, and you wonder where this stuff comes from, and it's very damaging as well. But we're here to get the job done.
Initiated every federal agency, from the Department of Defense on, every federal agency to be part of this. And the other thing is, look, you know, I think you're getting a bad rap. I know you're getting a bad rap about these fire hydrants don't have enough water in them. Give me a break. Give me a break.
And this ties into our next story. Mark Zuckerberg just appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience, right? For a 2.5-hour podcast. I'm sure you saw that. Sitting down with Joe, explaining his rationale for flipping sides, going from supporting the Dem Party overwhelmingly in 2020, donating huge amounts of money to the Democrats and Joe Biden 4 years ago, to suddenly flipping, jumping on the MAGA train. A lot of people, including us, were speculating last week why he did this. What caused this sudden 180-degree shift? Well, Mark Zuckerberg just admitted how Joe Biden's government screamed and brutally threatened them to remove misinformation, to get rid of content they don't. Mark Zuckerberg, calling this straight out of 1984, George Orwell. That it's frightening. He said that when he started to refuse to remove truthful content, the Biden regime went after them, began investigating them. Using Elizabeth Warren's Debanking Commission and a number of other agencies to launch investigations. This is a wild story. Look at this. Biden officials screamed and cursed at Meta exec to take down jab post, Mark Zuckerberg tells Joe Rogan. I'm sure you heard about all this yesterday. Well, what you may not be aware of, after Rogan posted this episode yesterday, it really pissed off the Biden regime. They are PO'd, folks. And they screwed up bigly, rushing out to blast Mark Zuckerberg, sending Grandpa Joe out in front of the reporters to announce how angry they are with Meta's decision to change their content moderation policies and fire all their fact-checkers. Well, in the process, admitting to these accusations essentially. Roll the tape.
Let's take a listen.
Of walking away from fact-checking as well as not reporting anything having to do with discrimination regarding the TPS, I find to be just contrary to American justice, the way we talk about one another. Telling the truth matters. I mean, I know I'm on national television, but you all are local reporters and national reporters. This is not a real question, but what do you think? You think it doesn't matter that they let be printed where millions of people read it, things that are simply not true? I mean, I don't know what that's all about. It's just completely contrary to everything America's about. We want to tell the truth. We haven't always done it as a nation, but we want to tell the truth. And the idea that, a billionaire can buy something and say, by the way, from this point on, we're not gonna fact check anything. And when you have millions of people going online, reading this stuff, it is, anyway, I think it's really shameful.
Mr. President, do you regret your decision to run for re-election?
And another win for Donald Trump and Team America, the Prime Minister of Greenland saying he is ready to meet and negotiate with our president-elect. Saying on Friday that he has not personally spoken with Trump yet regarding his interest in buying the island, but that he's ready to talk, as the status quo is no longer an option. And like we reported last week, As much as the King of Denmark doesn't want to give up control of this island, they can't afford to keep it, and they realize that. The Prime Minister of Denmark adding she hasn't spoken to Trump either yet, but I expect the call will take place soon. Her comments coming only 48 hours after Trump declined to rule out military or economic force to gain control of Greenland. Denmark offering a concession to Trump, saying the island needs investment in resource development and we'd be willing to discuss expanding U.S. military bases on the island without giving up control. Yeah, that's not happening. What could happen, though, what likely will happen, is Greenland opting for some sort of independence, a status where the island functions as a sovereign state while maintaining economic ties with a specific partner nation. The same way the U.S. does with the Marshall Islands. Will that be the United States? We've got to see what Donald Trump does. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.